Welcome to Monk's Temple. Tonight, as the day's last light fades and the world's noise softens to a hum, we invite you to journey inward. The peace we seek is not a distant destination but a hidden landscape within you, mapped by ancient Buddhist wisdom. The Buddha taught that freedom is found not in the absence of difficulty, but in our relationship to it. So let your body settle, your breath find its own rhythm. There is nothing to fix here, only a quiet space to remember who you are beneath the doing and striving. Let's begin with a fundamental truth: much of our suffering comes not from pain itself, but from our resistance to it. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you clench your fist tightly, the sand presses painfully into your skin, and most of it spills out. But if you relax your hand, letting your palm lie open and soft, the sand rests there, held without pressure. The sand hasn't changed. Your relationship to it has. This is the core of non-attachment in Buddhism. It is not indifference. It is the wise understanding that clinging to what is inherently changing, our circumstances, our feelings, even our relationships, guarantees frustration. A modern example: you work for months on a project proposal. You've poured your creativity and hope into it. You hit send, and the waiting begins. The clenched fist approach is to tie your worth and sanity to the outcome. You refresh your email constantly, your mood soaring or crashing with every imagined reaction. The open palm approach is to acknowledge, I gave that my best care. The result is now out of my hands. You can hope for a positive response, but your inner peace isn't held hostage by it. The project is the sand. Your mind is the hand. Buddhism teaches us to open the hand. If this perspective brings you a sense of relief, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It's a simple way to keep this space of calm always within reach. This open palm awareness naturally leads to a profound shift in perspective. Think of your mind as a sky. Your thoughts, worries, and joys are the weather, clouds passing through, sometimes stormy, sometimes clear. We spend our lives confusing ourselves with the weather. I am a thundercloud of anxiety. I am the gray gloom of sadness. But you are not the weather. You are the vast, unchanging sky that holds the weather. The sky is never damaged by the storm. It never clings to the perfect sunset. It simply provides the space for all of it. This is the psychological insight wrapped in Buddhist teaching: you are the awareness behind the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. When a feeling of anger arises, instead of thinking, I am angry, try noticing, there is anger present. This tiny shift creates space. It allows you to respond from the sky-like awareness, rather than react from the storm. The Buddha's enlightenment was a permanent resting in this sky-like nature. Our practice is to remember it more often. From this space of the observing sky, we can better understand life's pains. Buddhism speaks of the two arrows. The first arrow is life's inevitable discomfort, a headache, a criticism, a loss. It strikes, and it hurts. The second arrow, however, is the one we shoot ourselves, the story of why me? The resentment, the endless mental replay that amplifies the pain tenfold. The first arrow is often momentary. The second arrow can last for days. Consider someone stuck in traffic, late for an appointment. The first arrow is the stress of being late. The second arrow is the fuming, the rage at other drivers, the catastrophic imagining of consequences, the ruin of the entire day over a single event. The practice is to feel the sting of the first arrow without reaching for the bow to shoot the second. Accept the reality of the traffic. Then choose what to do with the moment you actually have. This is the essence of reducing suffering. This patience with reality is the bedrock of true resilience. It's not a grim endurance, but a trust in natural process, like a farmer who plants seeds. He does the work of planting and watering, but he does not dig up the seeds each day to check on the roots. He trusts the unseen growth. We must learn to trust our own inner growth, the healing that happens in quiet ways we cannot force. The Buddhist virtue of khanti, patience, is this: doing your part, then resting in trust, not in anxiety. This approach transforms even our spiritual seeking. Often, we seek peace or enlightenment like a frantic search for lost keys. We rummage through practices and philosophies, growing more frustrated. But what if the keys are already in your pocket? What if the peace you seek is the very awareness that is doing the seeking? This is the great paradox. Sometimes, the final step on the path is to stop rushing forward and simply stand still, to realize you are already home. The Buddha's wisdom points you back to yourself, to the calm awareness reading these words right now. That is the treasure. Everything else is just a beautiful journey within it. To truly rest in that open palm awareness, we must first understand what often fills our hands: the weight of the past and the phantom pull of the future. We are time travelers, constantly leaving the only moment that is real. But there is an anchor, and it is closer than your next breath. Picture a musician, a cellist, in the middle of a complex solo. Her bow moves, her fingers dance on the strings. Where is her mind? If she is thinking about the note she missed 3 measures ago, she falters. If she is worrying about the difficult passage ahead, she stumbles. But when she is fully in the note she is playing right now, feeling the vibration of the string, the pressure of the bow, she and the music become one. There is no past regret, no future anxiety. There is only the alive, resonant present. This is mindfulness, or sati in the Buddhist tradition. It is the art of coming home to the note you are currently playing, which is your life. A practical example: you're washing dishes. The mind wants to race to the meeting you have later, or replay an awkward conversation from earlier. But can you, just for these 2 minutes, be the world's most attentive dishwasher? Feel the warmth of the water. See the shimmer of the bubbles. Hear the clink of the plates. This is not about cleaning dishes, it's about cleansing your attention. You are practicing presence. The Buddha taught that the past is a memory, the future a fantasy. Only the present is where life is actually lived. By anchoring yourself in simple sensory details, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the sound of the air conditioner, you pull yourself out of the exhausting time machine and into the peace of what is. This present moment focus reveals another layer: the stories we tell. Our minds are masterful narrators, constantly spinning tales about our experiences. My boss didn't reply to my email, she must be angry with me. That person didn't smile back, they must not like me. We live inside these interpretations, often mistaking them for absolute truth. Buddhism invites us to see these stories as mental events, not reality itself. Think of it like watching a movie with the sound off. You see the images, a frown, a turned back. But the dramatic soundtrack of, "They hate me," or, "I'm failing," is added by your own mind. The practice is to notice the raw footage of your experience before the commentary track begins. Someone speaks to you in a short tone. That's the raw footage. The story might be, they're disrespecting me. But other soundtracks are possible, they're having a terrible day. They're in a hurry. Or simply, that was a short tone. By separating the event from the story, you create choice. You are no longer a prisoner of the first, often fear-based, interpretation your mind provides. This diffusion from our thoughts is a core psychological skill, deeply aligned with the Buddhist teaching to see the emptiness of fixed concepts. When we learn to be present and see our stories as stories, we encounter life with a lighter heart. This lightness is not frivolity, it is the wisdom of not carrying what you can simply observe. From here, we can look at one of the most pervasive sources of tension, our relentless pursuit of more. We operate from a mindset of scarcity, believing peace and happiness are things we must acquire, build, or achieve. Buddhist wisdom turns this on its head, pointing toward the richness of enough. Imagine two travelers. The first carries an enormous, heavy backpack, stuffed with supplies for every conceivable scenario, extra clothes, canned food, tools, even rocks he finds interesting. The journey is a grueling slog, he is exhausted, looking only at his feet, missing the scenery. The second traveler carries a small, light pack with just water, a little food, and a coat. He walks with ease, his head up, noticing the wildflowers, feeling the breeze, engaging with fellow travelers. The journey itself is a joy, not a burden. Our minds are like these backpacks. We fill them with mental clutter. Old resentments we refuse to put down, anxieties about tomorrow we feel we must carry, the heavy stones of others' opinions. The practice of simplicity, or santuthi, contentment, is the courageous act of unpacking. It's asking, what am I carrying that I no longer need? What grudges, what outdated self-concepts, what fears of not enough can I gently set down? This isn't about having fewer material things, though that can help. It's about having fewer mental obligations, fewer conditions you place on your own peace. The Buddha taught that contentment is the greatest wealth. When you stop believing you need something external to be complete, you discover you already are. This unburdened state is where compassion naturally flows. It's difficult to be truly kind when your own mind is a crowded, noisy room. But when you have created inner space, you have room to notice the other person. Compassion, or karuna, in Buddhism is not a sentimental feeling. It is an active recognition of shared reality. You see someone struggling, and instead of the mind's chatter, "What a mess," or "I'm glad that's not me," there is a silent, spacious understanding, suffering is present. From that clear recognition, intelligent action can arise, a helping hand, a patient ear, or simply a non-judgmental presence. Think of a nurse in a busy hospital. If she is overwhelmed by her own stress, her care can become mechanical, rushed. But if she has a moment to center herself, to feel her own breath, she can look at a patient and truly see them, the fear in their eyes, the discomfort in their posture. Her touch becomes softer, her words more reassuring. The care is the same action, but the quality of presence behind it transforms it from a task into a connection. This is compassion in action. Meeting the reality of suffering, in yourself or another, from a place of calm, spacious awareness, not from a place of depleted reaction. This brings us to a beautiful and challenging principle, the middle way. Life often presents us with false choices. We think we must either be utterly detached and passive or fiercely attached and controlling. We swing between not caring at all and caring so much it destroys us. The Buddha's middle way is the path of dynamic balance. Envision a sailor on a small boat. If she grips the tiller in a white-knuckled panic, fighting every wave, she will exhaust herself and likely capsize. If she lets go completely, abandoning the tiller, she becomes a victim of the winds and currents. But if she holds the tiller with a relaxed, alert grip, making small adjustments, feeling the rhythm of the water, working with the wind rather than against it, she finds a graceful, effective way forward. She is fully engaged, yet completely adaptable. This is how we are to hold our lives. We care deeply about our work, our relationships, our health. We steer the boat. But we hold the tiller lightly, understanding that storms will come, winds will shift. We do our part without demanding that the sea be calm. We put in full effort without being attached to a specific, rigid outcome. In a conflict, the middle way is neither suppressing your voice nor blasting the other person. It is speaking your truth clearly and kindly, then releasing your need to control their reaction. This balanced engagement is the heart of wise living, preventing both burnout and apathy. Let's explore what happens when we truly commit to this balanced, present-moment awareness. We begin to notice a subtle but constant hum in the background of our lives, a hum of judgment. We label experiences as good or bad, we categorize people, we rate our own days. This constant evaluation is exhausting. Buddhist wisdom invites us to practice something radical, non-judgmental observation. This isn't about becoming passive, it's about seeing clearly before you act. Imagine a scientist in a lab, observing a new culture under a microscope. Her job is not to like or dislike what she sees, to call it good germs or bad germs. Her job is to see it precisely, to note its characteristics, its movements, its properties. Her clarity, not her opinion, is what leads to understanding. Now, imagine applying that scientist's calm gaze to your inner world. A feeling of anxiety arises. Instead of the immediate judgment, ugh, anxiety is bad. I need to get rid of it, you simply note, ah. Anxiety is present. There is a feeling of tightness in the chest. The mind is generating rapid thoughts about the future. This shift from judge to observer creates immense space. The anxiety may not vanish, but its power over you diminishes because you're no longer fighting it. You're understanding it. The Buddha's path is one of investigation, not condemnation. From this place of clear seeing, free from the cloud of constant judgment, we can address one of the deepest wells of suffering, the story of self. We spend our lives building and defending a solid, separate me, my personality, my achievements, my problems, my story. We believe this construct is who we truly are. Buddhism offers a profound and liberating insight. This solid self is an illusion, a compilation of ever-changing parts. There is no fixed, unchanging you at the center, there is a flowing process. Think of a river. You can point to it and say, that is the Mississippi River. But what you're pointing to is never the same water twice. The water is constantly flowing, moving, changing. The banks shift. Yet, we give it a single, permanent name. Your self is like that river. Your thoughts are the flowing water, always moving, coming and going. Your emotions are the weather over the river, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm. Your body is the riverbank, slowly changing shape over years. There is a flow, a process, but no permanent, static thing called Mississippi to cling to. When you deeply internalize this, that you are a verb, not a noun, a tremendous weight lifts. The pressure to defend a fixed identity dissolves. You can make a mistake without it meaning, I am a failure. You can experience a change without it threatening your core. You are free to flow, to grow, to be human. This understanding of fluidity directly connects to the principle of interconnection, or pratyaya samutpada, dependent origination. Nothing exists in isolation. Your morning mood is shaped by your sleep, which was affected by a conversation the night before, which was influenced by that person's day at work. The web is infinite. Seeing this interdependence shatters the myth of the lonely, separate self. Your well-being is intimately tied to the well-being of others, of your environment. A modern illustration: a tech worker feels stressed and snaps at a barista. The barista, hurt and distracted, makes a mistake on the next order for a young mother. The mother, now delayed, is short with her toddler. A chain reaction of unhappiness spreads from one person's unchecked stress. The reverse is also true. Your moment of patience, your genuine smile, creates ripple effects of calm you will never see. When you act from the understanding that you are not an isolated island, your choices become more compassionate, more responsible. You see that cultivating your own peace is not a selfish act, but a genuine contribution to the whole. As the Buddha taught, harming others is ultimately harming the web you are part of, helping others is nurturing your own existence. This brings us to a powerful tool for nurturing both ourselves and that web, loving kindness, or metta. Often, we think of love as a dramatic feeling reserved for a special few. Metta is different. It is a steady, intentional attitude of friendliness. It's the mental equivalent of turning on a gentle, warm light within your chest and deliberately directing it. Start with yourself. This can be the hardest part. Sit quietly and offer these simple phrases to yourself, like planting seeds in your own heart. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. You may feel nothing. You may feel resistance. That's okay. The practice is in the sincere intention. Then, bring to mind a benefactor, someone who has been kind to you. Offer the phrases to them: may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Then, a neutral person, someone you see but don't know, like a cashier. Then, even a difficult person. You are not approving of their actions, you are acknowledging their shared humanity and wishing for their freedom from the suffering that causes them to act as they do. Finally, radiate it outward to all beings everywhere. This meditation systematically softens the heart's boundaries. It trains the mind in unconditional friendliness, breaking down the walls of us and them. It is a direct antidote to the isolation the separate self feels. Finally, we must apply all of this to the greatest teacher of all, impermanence, or anicca. Everything that has a beginning has an ending. Every joy, every sorrow, every life phase, every identity. We resist this truth with every fiber of our being, and that resistance is the source of our deepest anguish. The spiritual path is, in large part, making friends with this constant flow of ending and beginning. Consider the practice of writing in sand at the edge of the ocean. You write a beautiful word, a profound thought. You sit back and admire it. But you know the tide is coming. You don't rage at the ocean. You don't try to build a fortress around your writing. You appreciate its fleeting beauty. You watch with curiosity, not horror, as the first wave touches the edges, softening the letters, until the word is gone, the sand smooth again, ready for a new writing. Your life, your relationships, your achievements are like that writing in sand. Their beauty is not diminished by their temporariness, it is defined by it. To love something knowing it will change is to love it purely, without the contamination of possession. The Buddha urged constant reflection on impermanence, not to be morbid, but to be vibrantly, urgently alive to the preciousness of the now. It is the ultimate motivation to open your palm, to be the sky, to offer metta, and to flow like the river, unburdened by the futile hope of making the ocean stand still. Now, let's bring these principles down from the mountain and into the marketplace. How does a mind trained in non-attachment, presence, and compassion actually navigate a noisy, demanding world? The key lies in a concept we can call dynamic grounding. It's the ability to be fully engaged in action while your inner being remains as still and clear as a mountain lake. Picture a master chef during the dinner rush. The kitchen is chaos, sizzling pans, shouting cooks, tickets flying. The chef is at the center, moving swiftly, tasting, directing, plating. Her hands are a blur of precise action. Yet, if you could see inside her, there is a point of profound calm. She is not thinking, "I'm so stressed," or "this is too much." Her awareness is fully absorbed in the sensory reality, the smell of the reduction, the color of the vegetables, the sizzle of the protein. The chaos flows around her center of calm, it does not invade it. This is mindfulness in action, what Buddhism might call samadhi in motion. The Buddha didn't teach withdrawal from the world, but a way to be in it without being of its turmoil. Your workplace, your home, your commute, these are your kitchen during the rush. The practice is to find your still point within the action, to let the doing flow from being. This inner stillness is what allows for truly wise communication. Most of our conflicts aren't about facts. They're about the emotional static clouding the transmission. We listen not to understand, but to prepare our defense. Buddhist teachings on right speech guide us here. Before speaking, we can learn to run our words through a simple, three-gate inquiry. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Imagine the transformation if we all paused for that one breath. Is what I'm about to say in this meeting true, or is it exaggeration to make a point? Is it necessary to say it right now, or is it just my ego wanting to be heard? Is it kind, not soft, but respectful and constructive? This filter doesn't muzzle you, it empowers you. It ensures your speech comes from your calm center, not from a reactive storm. It turns communication from a battle into a bridge. From this foundation of calm action and clear speech, we can look at a major source of modern suffering: comparison. Our minds are now connected to a global highlight reel of other people's lives. We constantly measure our behind the scenes against everyone else's curated finale. This is the poison of spiritual materialism, even turning meditation or peace into a badge of achievement to compare. Buddhism addresses this with the teaching on non-self and the futility of measurement. A pine tree doesn't look at the oak and think, "I should have broader leaves." It simply is fully pine. Your journey is incomparable because you are a unique confluence of causes and conditions. The only relevant question is, am I moving, from where I am today, toward more wisdom and compassion? The race is only with your own ignorance. When you truly internalize this, the energy wasted on comparison, an energy of lack and anxiety, is freed up. That energy becomes fuel for your own genuine growth. This release from comparison naturally nurtures a quality that feels in short supply. Genuine gratitude. We often think of gratitude as something we feel after we get what we want. Buddhist gratitude is more radical. It is the open-handed appreciation for what is, independent of our personal preferences. It's the grateful acknowledgement of the functioning of your senses, the roof over your head, the complexity of the body that breathes without your command. It's seeing the gift in the obstacle, the teacher in the difficult person. This isn't Pollyanna-ish, it's strategic. The mind that practices finding the grain of gratitude in any situation is a mind that cannot be fully conquered by discontent. It is a mind that recognizes the web of support that holds it up at every moment, from the farmers who grew your food to the inventors of the device you're using. This gratitude softens the hard edges of the separate self and deepens the feeling of interconnection. All of this work. The grounding, the wise speech, the release from comparison, the cultivation of gratitude, prepares us for the ultimate practice, meeting difficulty as a path. We spend our lives running from discomfort, seeking the perfect, pain-free state. Yet, the Buddha's first noble truth is simply, there is discomfort, dukkha. Enlightenment isn't the absence of difficulty, it's the freedom from being traumatized by it. Imagine two people walking the same rocky path. One curses every stone, twists ankles, and arrives bitter and exhausted. The other sees the stones as part of the path, adjusts their stride, notices the wildflowers growing between the rocks, and arrives aware and intact. The path is the same. The relationship to it is everything. Your difficult emotion, your financial worry, your health scare, these are your rocky path. The practice is to stop cursing the rocks. Instead, bring curiosity. What is this anxiety trying to show me? What is the texture of this grief? When you meet your suffering with investigative, kind attention instead of panic and hatred, it begins to transform. It may not disappear, but it loses its monolithic, terrifying quality. It becomes workable. You realize you can carry it, learn from it, and even find a strange beauty in its depths. This is alchemy. This is how the base metal of pain is transformed into the gold of wisdom. The Buddha didn't find peace by avoiding Mara, the demon of temptation and fear. He found it by sitting so still and present that Mara eventually left, having no foothold in his awareness. We've spoken of grounding, of meeting difficulty, of transforming our relationship to life's inevitable rocks. But there is a force that can sweep all this careful work aside if we're not mindful, our own habits. The mind is a creature of routine, carving deep neural canyons of thought and reaction. We often live on autopilot, reacting to today with yesterday's worn-out patterns. To create lasting change, we must become conscious architects of our inner landscape. This moves us from philosophy to practical neuropsychology, deeply supported by the Buddha's teachings on mental cultivation. Think of your mind as a vast, wild meadow. Your habitual thoughts are the paths worn through the grass. The path of worry is deep and well-trodden. The path of self-criticism is a muddy trench. The path of joyful presence. It's barely a faint trail, overgrown with weeds. Every time you think a familiar thought or feel a familiar feeling, you walk that path again, deepening the groove. The practice of mindfulness and intention is the deliberate work of not taking the old, deep path, and instead, patiently walking a new route through the meadow. At first, It's hard. The old path pulls at you. But with each conscious choice to pause before reacting, to breathe instead of catastrophize, you wear a new groove. Eventually, the new path of response becomes the easier, more natural one to take. This is the science of neuroplasticity meeting the ancient art of bhavana, mental development. You are literally rewiring your brain for peace. Let's apply this to a universal habit, complaining. It's a default path for many. The weather is too hot, the line is too long, the work is too tedious. Each complaint reinforces a neural pathway of dissatisfaction, training your brain to scan for what's wrong. The Buddhist antidote is not forced positivity, but a practice called noting. When you notice the impulse to complain, you simply note silently, complaining. You don't judge it. You don't follow the story. You just name the mental habit. This simple act of recognition creates a gap. In that gap, you have a choice. You might choose to find a neutral or even a grateful observation instead. The sun is strong today. I'm in a line with other humans. This task is part of my livelihood. You are consciously choosing a different meadow path. Over time, the complaining path grows fainter. This work of reshaping habits requires immense kindness toward ourselves. We will forget. We will fall back into the old, deep ruts. The critical inner voice will arise, see? You failed. You're not cut out for this. This is where Buddhist metta, loving kindness, becomes essential self-care. Beating yourself up for a lapse is just taking another destructive, familiar path. Instead, the moment you realize you've been lost in an old pattern, you can offer yourself a mental phrase of kindness: it's okay. I'm learning. I begin again now. This self-compassion is the lubricant that allows change to happen without internal fracture. It acknowledges the humanness of the process. The Buddha taught compassion for all beings, and that absolutely must include the being you spend 24 hours a day with, yourself. As we cultivate kinder inner habits, we begin to experience moments of genuine inner quiet. But here, the mind can play its most subtle trick. It can become attached to that. It can seek the perfect silent meditation, the uninterrupted peaceful moment, and then feel frustrated when life intrudes. This is the trap of spiritual perfectionism. True peace isn't a state you achieve and then defend like a fortress. It's a fluid quality of awareness that can include noise, interruption, and chaos without being shattered by them. It's the difference between a stagnant pond that is disturbed by a single thrown stone, and a flowing river that incorporates the stone into its current without losing its essential nature. Your peace must be river-like, not pond-like. This leads to a powerful reframe of our entire day. We tend to compartmentalize: this is my meditation time. This is my work time. This is my chore time. We valorize the formal sit and resent the other parts. But what if your entire life became the field of practice? What if washing the dishes was mindfulness of water and movement? What if your commute was mindfulness of sound and space? What if a difficult conversation was a practice in deep listening and right speech? This is the integration the Buddha pointed to. Awakening isn't a special state reserved for the cushion, it's a way of perceiving that can infuse every action. The mundane becomes sacred not because it changes, but because your attention to it changes. The Zen proverb says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The activity is the same. The consciousness you bring to it is utterly transformed. Finally, we must address the energy that fuels this entire journey, intention, or sankhara. Every action, word, and thought begins with a tiny seed of intention in the mind. Are you meditating to check a box, or to connect with your heart? Are you being kind to get approval, or to genuinely alleviate suffering? The Buddha taught that intention is karma. The energy behind your action determines its fruit. So, as you move through your day, practice checking your intention. Before you speak, pause and ask, what is my deepest aim here? Before you begin a task, ask, what quality of mind do I wish to bring to this? This isn't about policing yourself, it's about aligning your moment-to-moment energy with your deepest values of wisdom and compassion. When your actions are fueled by clear, wholesome intention, your life naturally becomes an expression of peace, regardless of the external outcomes. You are planting seeds for a future harvest of happiness, for yourself and for everyone your life touches. There is a quiet space that exists just before you react. In that sliver of a moment, between the stimulus and your habitual response, lies your greatest freedom. Much of our suffering comes from living on the far side of that gap, already entangled in the reaction. The practice of mindfulness is, at its core, the practice of widening that gap. To stretch that moment of choice until you can see all the possible paths laid out before you, and then, from a place of clarity, choose the one that leads toward peace rather than pain. Consider the last time you received critical feedback. The stimulus, their words. The immediate, visceral reaction in the body, a flush of heat, a tightening in the stomach. Then, the old, deep path of the mind rushes in, defense, justification, a counterattack, or perhaps a collapse into shame. That entire chain feels instantaneous. But was it? If you could rewind and slow it down, you would find that tiny, potent space. In that space, you can feel the heat without becoming the fire. You can hear the words as sound waves before they become a story about your worth. This is the application of the Buddha's teaching on the 6 sense bases: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. Suffering arises not at the sense contact, but in what happens next. The craving for it to be different, the aversion to it, the delusion that it defines you. Your freedom is found by resting in the space of pure contact, before craving, aversion, or delusion take the wheel. This space is where we can work with a particularly sticky habit, taking things personally. We walk through the world as if we are the central target of every event. A stranger is rude, we think, what did I do? A plan falls through, we think, why does this always happen to me? This is the ego's gravity, pulling every experience into its own orbit. Buddhist wisdom offers the antidote of depersonalization. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means recognizing that most of what people say and do is about them, their own pain, their own history, their own habits. The rude stranger is likely carrying a burden you know nothing about. The canceled plan is likely the result of a dozen intersecting factors, most of which have nothing to do with you. When you stop interpreting the world as a personal commentary on your worth, a tremendous amount of mental and emotional energy is liberated. You can respond to the situation itself, rather than to your bruised ego's story about the situation. From this less personal, more spacious perspective, we can engage with one of life's most challenging arenas, relationships. Often, We enter relationships with a subtle, or not so subtle, agenda. We want the other person to make us feel a certain way. Secure, admired, complete. This turns the other person into an object, a means to an end. When they fail to play their part, as they inevitably will, we feel betrayed. The Buddhist approach to relationship is based on mudita, or appreciative joy, and upekkha, equanimity. Can you find joy in the other person's happiness, independent of what it means for you? Can you meet them with equanimity, allowing them to be who they are, without demanding they change to soothe your anxieties? This is love without possession. It is seeing the other person as a fellow river, flowing on their own course, and appreciating the beauty of walking alongside them for a stretch, without trying to dam their waters or redirect their flow. This brings us to a practical tool for daily life, the practice of, "This is here now." It is a simple, grounding phrase you can use to meet any experience. Anxiety arises. Instead of the story, "This is terrible, it's going to ruin my day," you simply note, internally and calmly, "Anxiety is here now." A beautiful sunset appears, beauty is here now. Boredom during a meeting, boredom is here now. This practice does two powerful things. First, it anchors you firmly in the present reality, pulling you out of the story about the past or future. Second, it creates a gentle separation between you and the experience. You are not anxiety, you are the one aware of anxiety's presence. This tiny shift, practiced repeatedly, builds the muscle of the observer, the one who rests in the gap. It is the essence of vipassana, clear seeing. All of this inner work, widening the gap, depersonalizing, relating with equanimity, culminates in a shift in your fundamental stance toward life. You move from being a fighter to being a witness, from being a victim of circumstance to being a student of experience. Life is no longer something that happens to you, but something that happens for your awakening. The difficult boss becomes a teacher in patience. The financial loss becomes a lesson in non-attachment. The illness becomes a masterclass in impermanence and self-compassion. This doesn't mean you become passive. A student still studies, still engages, still works hard. But they do so with curiosity, not combat. They understand that the friction, the resistance, the problem, is the very texture of the sandpaper that smooths their rough edges. The Buddha's own path was not around suffering, but directly through its heart. By fully understanding it, he transcended it. Your daily irritations, your heartaches, your fears, these are not signs that you're failing at peace. They are the curriculum. And in that spacious gap before you react, you have the chance to do your homework. We have explored the inner landscape, the gap, the observer, the rewiring of habits. But peace is not a solitary endeavor. The Buddha's awakening was not a retreat from the world, but a profound understanding of its interconnected nature. Our personal sense of ease is inextricably linked to the environment we create and the communities we inhabit. This brings us to the practice of creating sanctuary, not as an escape, but as a conscious cultivation of the conditions for peace to flourish, both within and around us. Think of your immediate environment, your room, your home, your workspace. Is it a reflection of clutter and chaos, or of clarity and calm? We often underestimate how deeply external disorder feeds internal disorder. The Buddhist principle of right effort applies here. It is not about achieving a minimalist aesthetic from a magazine, but about engaging in a thoughtful, kind dialogue with your space. Each object holds energy. Does it bring utility, beauty, or a genuine sense of joy? Or does it whisper of obligation, unfinished business, or a past self you're clinging to? The act of tidying, of creating physical order, is a powerful, nonverbal meditation. It is a direct expression of caring for your own mind. As you clear a shelf, you are symbolically clearing mental space. You are practicing discernment, choosing what to keep in your life based on present moment value, not past attachment or future fear. This is mindfulness made visible. Your outer order supports your inner capacity to meet the world from a place of resource, not depletion. This sanctuary extends beyond the physical to the digital. Our devices are portals to a world of infinite demand, comparison, and fragmented attention. The constant ping is a modern-day manifestation of the hungry ghosts described in Buddhist cosmology, beings with insatiable appetites and tiny throats, perpetually craving but never satisfied. Creating digital sanctuary means establishing boundaries with the same respect you would with a demanding person. It means practicing intentional consumption, checking news and social media at chosen times, not as a reflexive twitch. It means curating your inputs as carefully as you would curate the food for your body. Before you open an app, ask the three-gate question for the digital age: is this necessary? Is this true? Is this kind to my mind? This isn't about rejection of technology, but about relationship. You are the user, not the used. From the sanctuary of our personal environments, we can turn our attention to the most dynamic environment of all, our relationships. Here, Buddhist psychology offers a crucial lens, the idea of ahimsa, or non-harming, as the foundation. Often, we cause the most subtle harm not through dramatic cruelty, but through unconsciousness. Through not truly listening, through offering unsolicited advice when someone needs empathy, through filling a silence with our own noise because their discomfort makes us anxious. Practicing ahimsa in communication means listening with your whole being, with the intention to understand, not to reply. It means allowing another person's emotional state to exist without immediately trying to fix it or make it go away because it unsettles you. This is a gift of profound respect. It says, your experience is valid, and I have the space to hold it with you. Furthermore, we must examine the stories we hold about the people in our lives. We freeze them into characters, the unreliable one, the critical one, the needy one. These stories are mental prisons, for them and for us. The practice here is to see the person anew in each moment. Can you look at your partner, your parent, your friend, and see not the accumulation of their past actions, but the human being who is present right now, who is also subject to change, suffering, and longing? This is applying the teaching of impermanence, anicca, to our closest bonds. It allows for forgiveness, not as a grand, one-time event, but as a daily, gentle release of yesterday's grievances. It makes space for people to grow, and in doing so, frees you from the resentment that anchors you to a painful past. Finally, creating sanctuary means cultivating a community of sangha, spiritual fellowship. Peace is nurtured in the company of others who are also committed to waking up. This doesn't require joining a monastery. It can be a single friend with whom you can speak honestly about your inner life without fear of judgment, a book group that discusses wisdom texts, or even the silent fellowship of knowing that listeners like you, right now, are engaged in the same inner work across the world. The Sangha reminds us we are not alone in our struggles. It reflects back to us our own Buddha nature when we forget. It provides the gentle accountability and encouragement that sustains practice over a lifetime. In protecting your own peace, through your space, your digital habits, your relationships, and your community, you are not building a wall. You are tending a garden. And from a well-tended garden, the fruits of compassion, clarity, and unwavering calm naturally grow and ripen, nourishing not only you but everyone who enters its shade. Our journey now arrives at a principle that is both the simplest to understand and the most challenging to embody, the practice of doing nothing. In a world that worships productivity, where even leisure is often scheduled and optimized, the act of conscious non-doing is radical. This is not laziness or apathy. It is zazen, just sitting. It is the profound art of being, without agenda, without a goal of achieving any particular state. It is the ultimate expression of trust in your own inherent completeness. Imagine a pond after a heavy rain. The water is murky, filled with stirred-up silt. If you keep poking at it, trying to force it to clear, you only make it cloudier. But if you simply sit by the bank and wait, allowing nature to take its course, the silt gradually settles. The water, left to itself, becomes perfectly clear, reflecting the sky above. Your mind is that pond. Your constant thinking, planning, worrying, and even your striving for peace, is the poking. Meditation, in its deepest sense, is the disciplined practice of stopping the poking. You take a posture of dignity, you follow the breath, and you commit to not interfering. You watch the silt swirl, the thoughts, the memories, the sensations, and you make the courageous choice to not engage, to not follow, to not judge. You simply let it be. And in that allowing, the natural clarity of mind begins to reveal itself. This is the heart of the Buddha's teaching on samatha, tranquility. Peace isn't something you create, it's what remains when you stop creating turmoil. This practice of non-doing directly challenges our core identity as a doer. We derive our sense of worth from what we accomplish. To simply sit, accomplishing nothing, can feel like a crisis. It exposes the quiet desperation beneath our busyness. But in that exposure lies freedom. When you can sit in meditation without needing it to be good, you are practicing non-attachment to spiritual achievement itself. You are learning that your worth is foundational, not transactional. It exists prior to any action. This realization slowly permeates your daily life. You can work hard, but your sense of value is no longer tied to the outcome. You can love deeply, but your happiness is no longer contingent on the other person's behavior. You have touched the being that exists before and after all doing. From this ground of being, we can re-engage with action, but from an entirely different place. This is the path of actionless action, or Wu Wei from the Taoist tradition, deeply resonant with the Buddhist middle way. It is action that arises spontaneously from clear perception, not from the ego's need to control or be seen. Picture a master calligrapher. Before the brush touches the paper, there is a moment of complete stillness, a merging with the emptiness of the page. Then, in one fluid, unimpeded motion, the character is expressed. There is no hesitation, no second-guessing, no force. The action is an effortless expression of the artist's whole being in that moment. Your life can become like this. When you act from the settled pond of your mind, your decisions are clearer, your speech more precise, your movements more efficient. You are no longer wasting energy on internal friction, the debate, the doubt, the anxiety. You see what needs to be done, and you do it, with your whole heart, and then you let it go. This is work as meditation. This is life as art. Finally, we must bring all of this to bear on the one guarantee life offers us: impermanence. Everything ends. Our bodies age. Relationships transform. Seasons pass. Our own life will conclude. Modern culture is a monument to denying this truth, but Buddhism asks us to lean into it, to make it our closest contemplative companion. This is not morbid. It is the ultimate source of vitality and tenderness. When you deeply know that this conversation, this feeling of comfort, this view out your window, is fleeting, you cannot help but pay exquisite attention. You hold it all more gently, more gratefully. Contemplate your own hand. Look at the lines, the texture of the skin. This hand will not always look like this. One day, it will cease to move. This is not a thought to bring fear, but a reality to bring poignancy and presence. It makes the simple act of grasping a cup of tea, of feeling its warmth, a sacred event. The awareness of death is the secret teacher of how to live. It forces the question, if I knew this was ending, how would I be right now? The answer is almost always, more present, more forgiving, more appreciative, more loving. The Buddha instructed monks to meditate in charnel grounds to face this truth directly. We can practice by regularly reflecting on the temporary nature of our circumstances. This reflection isn't meant to create detachment from life, but a deeper, more passionate and non-clinging engagement with it. You learn to love the wave precisely because you know it will return to the ocean. We have traveled a long path together, from the open pond to the still pond, from rewiring habits to creating sanctuary, from conscious action to the wisdom of non-doing. We arrive now at the destination that was here all along, integration. This is where the teachings cease to be concepts you consider and become the very atmosphere you inhabit. It is the fading of the separation between the person who is practicing and the act of living itself. In the light of this integration, let's revisit the core of the Buddha's message, not as a distant philosophy, but as the operating system for a life of profound freedom. The Four Noble Truths are often presented as the first teaching, but they are also the final, deepest realization. They are not four separate ideas, but one seamless diagnosis and prescription for the human condition. The first truth, the existence of dukkha, often translated as suffering, stress, or unsatisfactoriness, is not a pessimistic starting point, but an act of radical honesty. To look at your life and the world and say, yes, there is friction here. There is anxiety, loss, and a subtle sense of things not being quite complete, is to stop pretending. This honest acknowledgement is the solid ground from which all healing begins. You stop fighting the fact that you sometimes suffer. The second truth identifies the cause, tanha, craving or thirst. It's the endless pull toward what is pleasurable and push away from what is painful. It's the mental habit of wanting life to be different than it is in this moment. We've seen this in the clenched fist, in the personalization of events, in the comparative mind. This craving arises from ignorance, avijja, the fundamental misperception that we are a separate, fixed self needing external things to be okay. All our strategies for happiness are built on this mistaken foundation. The third truth is the astonishing promise: there is an end to this cycle. Nirodha, cessation. It is possible to dwell in a peace that is not dependent on conditions. This is the open palm, the sky-like awareness, the still pond. This peace is not manufactured. It is uncovered when craving ceases. It is your natural state when the clutter of wanting and fearing is cleared away. The fourth truth is the path to that uncovering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is not a linear ladder, but 8 interconnected facets of a life lived wisely. We have explored them all: right view, understanding the truths; right intention, aiming toward kindness and harmlessness; right speech, right action, right livelihood, the ethics of body and speech; right effort, cultivating the wholesome; right mindfulness, the clear seeing of the present; and right concentration, the collected, tranquil mind. They support each other. Ethical living calms the mind for deeper meditation. Deep meditation reveals the insights that make ethical living natural and effortless. Integration means this path ceases to be a list and becomes a description of how you move through your day. Making a cup of tea, you are mindful, right mindfulness. Of the boiling water, with the intention, right intention, of nourishing yourself. You speak to a colleague with honesty and kindness, right speech. You choose work that aligns with your values, right livelihood. When irritation arises, you apply effort, right effort, to meet it with curiosity instead of reaction, which deepens your understanding, right view, and steadies your mind, right concentration. It all folds together into one graceful motion of being. So, what does this integrated life feel like from the inside? It feels like coming home. The seeking falls away. There is a deep okayness with the flux of experience. Joy is experienced fully but lightly, not clung to. Pain is met with a compassionate, investigative attention, not with panic. There is a quiet confidence that comes not from knowing all the answers, but from trusting your capacity to meet the questions. You relate to others from a sense of shared humanity, not from need or strategy. Your life becomes simpler, not because it is empty, but because it is no longer weighed down by unnecessary complexity, conflict, and craving. This is the gift of the Buddha's wisdom. It is not a call to become a Buddhist, but to become awake. It is an invitation to verify these truths in the laboratory of your own experience. To test the teachings of non-attachment, impermanence, and non-self against the reality of your daily life. The peace you seek is not a reward for passing a test. It is the nature of the mind that is looking. Your awareness itself, right now, as you hear these final words, clear, vast, and untroubled, that is it. It has never been absent. From all of us at Monk's Temple, we offer this closing blessing. May the seeds of understanding planted in this quiet time take root in your heart. May you walk through your days with the gentle strength of the open palm, the clear sight of the observer, and the compassionate heart of one who knows they are home. May your life be a quiet testament to the peace that is possible, not by changing the world, but by seeing it with eyes of wisdom. The journey ends where it began, in the boundless, peaceful awareness that you are. Rest well in that knowing. Good night.